Well, what does it take to get blacklisted from my channel? And just how do you earn the coveted gold star? Well, both have happened, and surprise, neither one is Tesla. My July EV charging prices and power report reveals all. Plus, if you've ever queued up to try to charge on a busy motorway services at one of just two 50 kilowatt chargers, I reveal where the best locations are for a better charging experience and the massive exciting changes I've filmed during my mammoth charging expeditions around the country this month. Now, just a bit of housekeeping. I really would appreciate everyone who watches my videos who's not subscribed to please do so. It makes such a difference to the success of this channel. Also, if you enjoy my videos and would like to support me financially, please consider becoming a Patreon member. Well, straight into the report. And we're going to start with Fastned. Now, they have way too few chargers still. No change in number from last month. The northeast gets quite a few, but mainly lower powered 50 kilowatt. Glasgow in the south mainly get the 300 kilowatt shared power. We'll see the truth about shared power chargers later in this video. Might actually surprise you. And in answer to a common complaint, they seem to have trademarked their distinctive yellow and black with wood canopy. Absolutely great for rain or sunshade. It's time we had shelter while charging. Oh, I know we don't stand there for several minutes filling up, but we do have to plug in. Let's see some more canopies, please. Prices of Fastned remain unchanged at 69 pence per kilowatt hour, making them competitive. But even better with their membership. It's costing just £9.99 a month. You get 30% off, making just 48 pence per kilowatt hour. They save 21 pence per charge, with an average charge session adding less than 50 kilowatt hours. 2 sessions a month make this a no-brainer. Interesting to note, if you fancy a road trip abroad this summer to avoid the queues at the airports, they're much bigger over in France, Netherlands and Germany, and your UK membership applies over there too. And prices are already cheaper over there in France. It's 59 cents, which is about 51p, and that reduces to 41 cents or 35p with membership. Instavolt seem to dominate Twitter these days, with tweet after tweet about new chargers opening all over the country. But a closer look reveals far too many twin charger installations and far too few multiple chargers and hubs. 2 chargers in a retail car park is not enough, particularly as they're mostly 50 kilowatt units. If you cannot rely on one being free when you arrive, they cannot be included in your charging strategy. Other retail parks, or Banbury for example, have a total of 18 chargers in one car park. Minimum is 125 kilowatts and most are 250. This is what we want. Instavolt do have their 32 hub charger hub just outside Banbury. Just the one, really well done. Each time I visit there, I find a reasonable number of cars charging. Chargers range from 120 to 150 kilowatts, which will happily suit most EV drivers. Chargers are easy to use, offering contactless that always seems to work. But I do have a complaint about the cables and plugs, as I do with a number of charging networks. The cables are really thick, totally inflexible, and the plugs are big, heavy and cumbersome. It is difficult to carry the cable and really hard to bend it round and insert it into your charger socket. I'm not weak by any means, but I find them difficult and I worry about the strain it puts on my charger socket. Instavolt, please think about your customers. I'm seeing more and more ladies driving EVs, and many of them are not 6'3" and reasonably fit like I am. Well, the prices are really easy to understand. All chargers are 75 pence, so well on the expensive side, and no membership offered at all, meaning you will pay 75 pence. Well, near to their Banbury hub, there are several other charging networks that are cheaper, and some offer memberships. I think they choose their sites quite deliberately outside supermarkets and fast food outlets, hoping that people charge while inside and don't really notice the high prices. From my travels, these chargers are rarely fully occupied. Now, BP Pulse was the subject of a video just a few weeks ago. Definitely still one of the bad guys. generating most of their profits from fossil fuels, but they seem to be making a real effort on the EV charging front. I'm not one to praise them, not just yet, but also I cannot condemn them if they really are making an effort. They've just opened 2 huge hubs in London, and a third one will be opening shortly, Kettering. These are aimed squarely at taxis, private hire and ride-sharing companies. BP, in a recent report, state that 80% of the public charging in London by 2025, just 2 years from now, will be for this specific sector. Uber has committed to having all their fleet as EVs by 2025. So if you're an existing taxi or Uber driver and have a petrol or diesel car, get ready to make some new plans. I'm keeping my eye on them to see if this is a real transformation or just greenwashing. BP Pulse costs a very expensive 79 pence per kilowatt hour, but does offer a membership, and this membership is a really good bargain at the moment. You pay £7.85 a month, that's one of the cheapest monthly fees, and get 20% off normal pay-as-you-go prices, making it 69p per kilowatt hour. But here's the reason it's such a bargain. You get the first month free, then you receive a £9 credit into your plan each month for the next 5 months. Even if you don't plan on keeping your membership, do it for free for the next 6 months and enjoy the cheaper prices. Then cancel. Well, Osprey charging is a bit like Fastned in that they still only have very few chargers. They report 620 in the whole of the UK. But what they offer is really quite good. Most chargers are a minimum of 75 kilowatts, but they're now installing 150 and 175. And these provide all that is needed for the vast majority of EV drivers today. Prices are really hefty 79p, and they offer no membership. The chargers are modern, powerful and generally reliable. Great for a reliable charge, but very poor for the price you'll pay. Again, at Banbury, Osprey charger cables and plugs, really heavy and awkward. I struggled here. Well, just a point of interest, have you ever been frustrated when you drive to and plug into a 350 kilowatt charger and only got 40 kilowatts? Have you ever wondered on a shared power charger if your neighbour is drawing more than its fair share? What's going on? Well, nothing really. Everything is probably fine. By far, the vast majority of EVs on the road today have less than 175 kilowatt maximum charging capacity. My 2016 Model S has 150 kilowatt maximum. I regard maximum charging speed a lot like maximum top speed of a car. Very few of us will even ever try to reach it, and those that do, they'll find they're unlikely to actually get there. Maximum charging speeds are just that, a maximum. Don't expect to always reach it, or indeed ever. Check your own EV. I personally have never reached 150 kilowatt, and I charge a lot and record the results. The best I ever get is around 138 to 140 kilowatt, and I have to be absolutely near zero state of charge and preconditioned to get that. So I never expect to get more than 140 kilowatts, ever. Anyway, the power I actually receive is not dictated totally by the power the charger can send me, but by how much my onboard battery management system will allow. Its job is to protect my battery. It will only allow my car to receive a charge that will not overheat or damage the battery. For example, if I plug into a 350 kilowatt charger, my battery is absolutely freezing cold, it won't charge at all. That would destroy the battery pretty quickly. Well, at first it will probably decide to use the charger power and any energy left in my battery to preheat the battery. Only when it's nice and warm and safe will it allow charging. This is exactly what it's meant to do. So, even if you plug into a 350 kilowatt charger, you'll never get your maximum speed, but also consider your state of charge. The higher this is, the slower it will charge. To test this, I recently charged at an Osprey 150, then drove straight to a Tesla 250, then to an Instavolt 125. In each case, arriving with almost exactly 75% state of charge. In all cases, my BMS only allowed between 38 and 33 kilowatts. A battery above about 70% does charge really slowly. That's why, for speed, you're advised to charge only to 70 or 80%, and that includes LFP. Oh no, they happily can charge to 100%, but don't need it every time. At home, always charge overnight, go to 100% if your off-peak rate allows, but out on the road, 75% is fine. Well, back to queuing up at motorway services with just two Gridserve 50 kilowatt chargers. Gridserve is this month's surprise winner of my Gold Star Award. Way back in around 2011, Ecotricity Electric Highway signed up most motorway services to exclusive deals. They fitted 14 kilowatt, 50 kilowatt chargers, which weren't much used. They fell into disrepair, hence the unreliability reputation. It was deserved. Gridserve took over Ecotricity in 2021 and were immediately lumbered with hundreds of out-of-date, underpowered, mostly broken chargers. But they immediately began a massive campaign to replace them with chargers as big as the electricity supply allowed, usually 50 or 65 kilowatt units. There were still only two, but at least now they worked. They then moved on to a much larger plan. Recently, I've seen a string of installations consisting of 12 chargers, each 300 kilowatts, some with shared power between two bays, being installed on multiple motorway services. Swansea, Rugby, Hilton Northbound and T-Bay are such examples. And these also have something else in common. You normally never see mixed network chargers, but Gridserve has seemingly now mixed with Tesla. All those locations already had, or now have, 12 Tesla V3 chargers. So at Rugby, motor services on the M6, there are now 12 Tesla V3s, 250 kilowatts, and 12 Gridserve 300 kilowatts, a total of 24 chargers available. In T-Bay, Tesla installed 12 V3 chargers, 250 kilowatts, and Gridserve are just completing 6 300 kilowatt shared bay chargers, and 2 existing 50 kilowatt, making 14 bays in total for Gridserve and 26 for the services. Swansea Moto Services recently installed 12 V3 chargers, 250 kilowatts, alongside a new Gridserve installation of 6 300 kilowatt chargers, and they left their existing 3 65 kilowatt chargers connected, plus added 2 7 kilowatt Type 2 AC chargers for Travelodge hotel guests to use overnight. That's 23 chargers in one motorway services in Wales. And Gridserve have laid on power for an additional 6 300 kilowatt chargers if the demand increases and they're needed. Well, Gridserve get my Gold Star Award. While everyone else is signing up sites for exclusive use of 2 new chargers, they're installing all they can where they can. Plus, they have announced they will shortly be offering a membership package. Watch out for that. The normal price is a reasonable 69 pence per kilowatt hour at all locations. Discount from membership is not yet announced. All other networks, please take note. Pack in your exclusive deals and get installing. We EV drivers need them all, and as an added bonus, unlike petrol, all motorway services EV charging prices are the same as everywhere else, no hiking up the prices. Well, let's get round to Tesla, but there's little to report out the ordinary. All non-Tesla EVs can now access specially selected superchargers by downloading a free app on Google, Android and Apple Store. Prices are set at a very slight premium, but still well below all the other networks, and a membership is available which reduces prices down to what Tesla owners automatically receive. Tesla these days only installs 6 or 12 chargers per location, more if power allows, and all are 250 kilowatt chargers with no power sharing between bays. As stated, many superchargers are now open to non-Teslas, and I've not heard any horrendous stories about huge queues, just some fears. Well, in some cases, the design of the EV has the charger point on the wrong side compared to Tesla, requiring them to take up 2 charger spaces. If done off-peak, it causes no problem. I met Cam in Wokingham Supercharger with his blue BMW i3, and his use of 2 bays was not an issue. The place was deserted. Verada, in his Kona, he didn't even need 2 spaces as the charging port is in the middle at the front and the cable reached easily. Well, if you have heard of any problems, please let me know in the comments. Now, in other news, Tesla has now formally applied to be a power distributor and provider in the UK, so watch out when that happens, when they get that approval. Reliability is still superb, faults are few and far between, and because Tesla monitors each and every charging session, they're instantly aware of failures to charge and a remedy is scheduled. Finally, people power, one of my pet likes. Few people know that Tesla allows drivers to suggest the locations of future superchargers, and the UK winner has just been announced. Bangor in North Wales, 1. And a supercharger will be built there, target opening date late 2024. If you need a supercharger locally, let Tesla know. Use your vote, or at least let me know. Prices remain ridiculously cheap for the UK, but dear compared to the continent. It's around 40 pence off-peak, 56 pence peak, and there are still just a few super off-peak offers with rates as low as 25 pence per kilowatt hour for the early hours of the morning. Ionity is rather like Fastned and Osprey. Not many chargers, but what they do fit is quite good. They install a lot of 350 kilowatt chargers, and often in groups of 6, so heading in the right direction. Last month they reported they had 99 chargers, and this month that was leapt up to 101. Just 2 chargers added. Prices are somewhat dear, 74 pence, but they also offer membership, which for £10.99 a month drops that down to 56 pence per kilowatt hour. I am aware that Ionity is offered with some new EV sales. Unfortunately, as the chargers are so few and far between, most people cannot ever use these offers. Just be aware when choosing your new EV, an offer of free membership for cheap charging is worthless if there are none anywhere near you. And even if there is one, there might be a BP Pulse nearby which is cheaper, or a Tesla supercharger open to non-Teslas which will be cheaper still. Don't be swayed by these offers. Also ask your dealer if they offer cheap customer charging. In Swansea earlier this month, I visited the main Mercedes dealer and found they offer no charging of any sort whatsoever to their own EV customers. Well, I'll finish up with my blacklist. When a charging network offers so little and actively battles and bullies to keep subsidised fossil fuels going at an ever-increasing rate, I cannot support it in any way whatsoever, not even to bother explaining. Please boycott Shell Recharge for their despicable business model, which I detail in my video released last week, Beyond Evil, which is linked down below or at the end. Once again, there are networks with little happening. MFG plod on, and they're one of the very few to offer the 800-volt charging that some Hyundai and Kia cars can take. But don't expect double speed. MFG chargers state 100 kilowatts for 400 volts and 150 kilowatt for 800. They're faster, but not double. Apple Green continues to baffle me. Their website doesn't work or offer any prices. Their app up here says chargers coming soon, and a report of a price of 79p, right at the very top end of being the most expensive in the country. That's not surprising for someone who's funded by the oil industry. Genie Point have some interesting 300 and 150 kilowatt chargers going in, mainly at Morrison's supermarkets, but at 79p, not very good. Podpoint and other minor ones pop up, including EVA, how do you pronounce that? And a Clenergy EV in Swansea. Well, some of these will wither away and die. Others might loiter on. 1 or 2 might grow. But the market is now being dominated by the big boys, and the days of 2 or 3 or 4 chargers here and there seem doom. Now, the UK government has also now begun debating, in fact they've just passed, new standards for public EV chargers, and it includes adding openly advertised prices, just like petrol stations, minimum reliability standards of 99%, and no need for RFIDs or memberships or anything, just contactless for all of these. We'll see where all this leads. Well, thanks for watching to the end. I know there are many I've missed and have not yet managed to get to Scotland to check out the Charger scene there. It is planned. I'm Dave.